Hi, good morning, Dan. Welcome to another training session. Today we'll be looking at the work skill for working as a spotter or a safety observer. So the supervisor has requested that you come into this course because he wants to assign you those responsibilities when you're out in the workplace to work as a safety observer or a spotter. So look at today's session, look at what your responsibilities will be, what things to look out for, and what activities you'll be spotting and observing, and so on. But before we start, I've just got an attendance sheet for you to sign on here. Just put your details on that sheet for me, please. And then to start off, I'll also explain a few housekeeping items. Thank you. So if you need water or any refreshments, the kitchen is out of this door here, and walk down the corridor and you have water, and the fridge is over there. So if you need to use the bathroom is just outside this door. Turn left and you keep walking and you'll see the bathroom there. Please put your phone on silent. If you need to take a call, let me know and I'll just give you a bit of time to make a call. And that's pretty much it for that. And also run through the emergency processes. If an emergency situation was to arise, such as a bushfire or a gas leak or some leak that requires us to get out of the area, I'll direct you from here. So you hear an alarm going off, just wait for the alarm and then stay calm and alert. Wait for further instructions from myself. What we'll do is we'll head out to the emergency exit. We'll head to the master point and we'll stay at the master point and have a roll call conducted to make sure everyone else is out of the work area. And then after that, we'll wait for further instructions. If they say it's safe for us to come back to work, we'll come back. If not, we'll just wait for the emergency service officers to let us know what the next step is. So that's our emergency process. We'll just go to where the arrows are pointed, and just if you have any questions, just ask me, and then I'll make sure we get there safely. Yeah. But we didn't have any planned fire drills or anything today, so if something does go off, know that it is an actual emergency. Any questions from you so far? No? Good. What's a spotter, right? Or what's a safety observer? It's quite an important role in our workplaces. You know, we've got a lot of simultaneous operations going on, we've got different activities going on. So it's important to have that role, right? In general, it's someone who is controlling the area where activity is happening, pretty much. So they are directing the operator, they are directing the people on the ground or the other drivers on the ground to keep them apart so that they can operate at a safe working distance, and so that no injuries or incidents can occur from collisions or people running into structures or other vehicles. So that's the main reason for a spotter. They also identify other risks in the area that may cause problems during operation, just like, you know, the stability of the ground, the gradients, any wind conditions or weather conditions that may interrupt, right? So that's the main duties of a spotter. So these will be your main responsibilities once we finish this session here. When your supervisor assigns you a task to be a safety observer or a spotter, you will know the responsibilities from what we go through from this session here, right? Before we start, I'll just show you this video, just give you a good idea of what why the spotters are required in the workplace and the things that you can look out for.
So what is a spotter? Well, spotters are individuals trained to watch working or moving equipment to prevent the equipment from coming into contact with persons or property, causing damage, injury, or fatality. Thousands of accidents could be prevented every year by a trained spotter. Sometimes called a flagger, this designated person or persons should be used anytime equipment is moved in a congested area, when entering or exiting a building, or when the operator does not have a clear view in the direction of travel, especially when backing up. Spotters are essential to safely maneuvering around a job site. After all, at 18% and 22% respectively, caught between and struck by injuries on site account for 2 of the OSHA fatal 4 hazards that make up nearly half of all construction-related deaths. To be an effective spotter, you must choose a position near the equipment where you'll be able to both maintain contact with the operator and see where the equipment could make contact with another object. There may be times when more than one spotter is required. For example, if an aerial lift needs to drive forward and swing the basket, then the basket, the wheels, and the swing radius all need to be monitored. Prior to moving the equipment, both spotter and operator need to perform a thorough workplace inspection to look for items such as drop-offs and holes, overhead power lines, buildings and other structures, and vehicles or equipment, to name a few. Once obstacles have been identified and the area of travel is established, the spotter must give clear instructions to the operator and prevent others from walking into the work area. A spotter should also fully understand the operator's visibility limitations. Someone who has never operated an aerial lift may not be aware of the blind spot between 35 feet and 70 feet to the side and front of the equipment, or that a hydraulic crane has a fully obstructed view to the rear right of the operator's seat. All equipment is different, and each individual piece of equipment will have different areas that the operator cannot see. These areas are called the danger zone. If you're unsure, communicate with the operator to determine where you need to watch from to be fully effective. Likewise, the operator has a duty to stop equipment operation and communicate with the spotter when he no longer has line of sight with them or if their signals are not understood. Signaling for a crane load carries with it new potential hazards, and as such, Systems has implemented a policy that only allows for persons certified through NCCER to both rig and signal crane loads. That said, as Systems teammates, we all have the responsibility to call for an emergency stop if we see the crane moving in a direction that would endanger personnel or property. In conclusion, there's nothing hard about being a spotter, as long as we maintain communication, stay aware of our surroundings, and understand the equipment limitations. We can maintain a safe and productive job site. And remember, you have the power to stop anything that is unsafe. Safety is job one.
Oh, nice. Any questions? Do you have any questions regarding that video? Or anything that stood out to you?
Is spotting like a recommended thing when you do construction type of jobs?
Yes, it is. Especially if you're working in tight areas where, like as you saw in the video, some equipment has limited visibility. So it's not like a normal car where you can have two blind spots and you can see in different areas, or windows all across. Some equipment, because of their nature, you might only have one window and you might not see anything on the other side. So you're relying on someone else to let you know what's on that side. And because of how big the machinery is, if it hits something or someone, it's quite unforgiving, and it will end up leading to serious injury or death, or even like serious damage to other plant, or even the plant itself. So yeah, it's highly recommended, and on our side here, it's mandatory if you're working in any area that has limited visibility or in a tight area where other people are working. A spotter is mandatory to have here. So again, you'll know once you get out of this lesson, you'll be doing these activities and identifying these risks during your assessments and your work tasks. So again, a spotter, right, will be a competent person. So after this training, will be competent to be a spotter, and you'll be authorized. So you'll be picked as a spotter for a certain work area, and everyone else will know that you are the spotter in that area, right? And they can come to you if they need to come to the area, and if they have any questions, they know you're the one to ask, because in a sense you will know exactly what's going on in that whole area, right? And so as a spotter, you work together with the operator, right? Whether it's an excavator operator or a crane operator, you meet together and say, discuss the work to be done. We discuss the hazards in the area, right? So what are hazards in an area that could affect your operation? Other buildings, yeah. What else? People, right? Yeah. Those are the main things you want to be aware of. So you will discuss with your operator, say, oh, there are a lot of people in this area, so that's one thing to be aware of. or there are steel structures, there's a light pole, there's electrical overhead power lines. You discuss that and you identify those before you continue working, right? And on top of that, you are controlling the area. And if the area is too big, you can have barricading around it, right? Have a single point of entry and exit, so that way you can control a smaller portion of it instead of trying to stop everyone from coming into this big area, right? Another big thing is communication. So there's something we refer to as positive communication, which in a sense is just being able to communicate clearly to someone and also receive communication back from them, receive a response from them. So you and the operator will say, okay, we're about to do this work here, we need a communication method, right? So there are a few methods that we use on site. We've got two-way radios. You can talk to each other via a UHF radio. You can talk to each other just verbally if the window is open or if they're in close proximity, or you can talk to each other via hand signals, right? You can say, hey, it's okay, you can stay there, or you can come a bit closer, or just move to the left or move to the right, that kind of thing. So it's important to establish those communication parameters with your operator before you start, and that way you have a smooth work activity. And as you know, on our site, we do a little concrete pouring. So we always have agitator trucks that bring concrete to site to pour foundations or other precast materials, right? And as you can see from the shape of them, they're quite awkwardly shaped and they're quite big as well. You know, the driver doesn't have clear visibility of all the sides, right? And some have cameras, some have sensors, but still it's not fully safe for them to operate without a second person outside directing them, especially in tight areas. So you can see the risks from that, having people in the area, the size of it, and now identifying controls to make sure those things don't cause incidents. As you see here, sometimes you're working in close proximity to plants, right? You see an agitator truck, you see a concrete pump, and it's just feeding the concrete pump so you can pour the concrete to the foundation or wherever it needs to pour the concrete to. And so it's important that when this guy is backing up to the truck, they can identify they can have a spotter to make sure that they don't hit each other, or even they don't bump into people in the area. And that's the important thing about a spotter there, right? And you can see in this picture here, right, you got a lot of people around that area, and you see the guy in the orange vest, right? Who do you think the spotter is in there?
And the guy in the orange, right?
That orange, right? He's standing out. He stands out from most people, so you can approach him and say, hey, can I come in the area? What's going on in the area? Am I safe to drive through? And that'll be the person to talk to. They'll have a whole idea of what's going on and what hazards are present in the area. So as a spotter, that will be your job, to be aware of all the risks that are present in the area and to be able to communicate those risks to other people as well, right? And sometimes when it's busy, we end up using two agitator trucks to pour. If we're pouring a big slab or something that's big that requires a lot of concrete, you have 3 vehicles in the area, 2 trucks and 1 pump truck, right? So it's important that we have a spotter for each pump truck in that area. And again, otherwise, if you don't have a spotter, things can go wrong, right? And like in that picture there, what do you think can go wrong? See in a picture where you've got like so many trucks and people around.
I mean, if the driver cannot see anything while they're reversing, then
Yeah.
it would be dangerous to people.
Dangerous for people, right? Yeah, they could hit them. So that's why in an area like that, you got loads of people standing in the area there, also pouring concrete. Got people coming in and out. Got other drivers stopping out, and it's important to have a spotter because it is a tight area, right? So in addition to our sporting activities, when an activity is given to us, we have to do a risk assessment and see what activity we're doing. Let's say you've been given a duty to go excavate a hole on the ground somewhere, right? Or on the side of the road where you've got other traffic coming through and other people crossing the road, right? So you do a risk assessment. You sit down with the operator and say, okay, what's our job? Is to go and excavate on the side of the road and identify the risks that could happen there, whether it's people coming in the area or vehicles, or the excavator falling into the hole if it's not steady enough, or you've been struck by the excavator, right? But remember also, we're trying to protect people, others, and also ourselves, because we're also at risk there. So it's in a sense, in a general sense, it's you and the driver working together, establishing a communication protocol, identifying the risk that is involved with the activity you're doing, and putting the controls in place, right? And making sure that you direct anything that comes into that area. You don't let anyone come in unauthorized, you don't let anyone drive in unauthorized, and you also have those communication parameters established between you and the operator, right? And otherwise, if we don't have spotters, we will lead to incidents and injuries, right, or deaths, because no one comes to work to get injured or to damage something. And then obviously it costs time, it costs people will be in pain, you'll be in hospital and all that, and the company and the site might have to close down if there's a bigger serious injury, and it becomes very, very, again, time consuming and also painful to other people. So with that being said, it's important that we don't try and save time by doing activities by ourselves. We wait for the spotter to come to the area and do it right the first time. That's the main thing, really, right? And so yeah, spotters are a big way to mitigate risks, right? Another thing to know as a spotter is that there are so many distractions around you, right? So what kind of things can distract you if you're working as a spotter?
Your phone
Your phone, yeah.
or anything else you see around.
Yeah, people around. If someone's playing music very loudly, that can distract you. If someone wants to talk to you, or like have a chat about what you're doing on the weekend, what you're doing for Christmas, that can distract you. So there are other things that can distract you, right? But it's important that you stay focused on the task, right? And ideally, we say that if the operator doesn't see communication to him, they stop until they get that communication, right? They don't move until they've been told to do so, and then that way they know that's a control for them, so that they don't move blindly and end up hitting something or someone, right? And then the other hazards in the area that you can identify, right? So let's say you've been asked to go dig, as you said before, asked to go dig a hole next to the road. What hazards are there? What things can get in your way?
Rocks.
The rocks, yeah.
Maybe if the ground is wet.
Ground is wet, right? Wet ground can also cause an issue, yeah.
Yeah.
How about anything else that can come into your area and disrupt you?
Maybe while you're digging, someone might come through.
People can come through, right? They can come walking across without paying attention to what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Or even driving across. You can have other people driving across without paying attention, and so on. And sometimes someone else might have a task next to your task, and then that can also be a hindrance because they're working in the same area and you're very close to each other, and you have a potential to bump into each other, right? So communication is important every time. It's important to communicate clearly with the operator and other people, right? So what communication methods can we use?
Hand signals.
Hand signals, yeah.
Yelling out loud.
Yelling out loud is all, yeah.
Yeah.
And also a UHF radio too, right?
Yeah.
If the operator can't hear you or see, you can say, hey, you can talk to them via a radio, so they know that, oh, they're going to come back. You can still have space to come back a little bit, or go forward, or go higher, or go lower. They can hear you when you say that. So the communication is very important, because without it, the operator's operating blind, as per se. So there's some signals here that we can learn to use, right? So in a sense, you can kind of demonstrate, like, look, copy me as I do this here. So let's say someone is coming towards you, right, and you want them to turn right. What you do is you just signal to the right hand, right? Say turn right, turn right. Right? And if you're going to turn left, what do you do? Exactly, it says turn left, right? So that's just easy directions. And if you want them to make an emergency stop, you just put your hand on your head like this, and then they know that, oh, it's time for me to stop. Let me not go on, right? So you can establish that with your operator before you start, right? And another one is let's say they're reversing, right? You can this movement here is reverse slowly. So reverse slowly, keep coming, and what's it called? If they are 10 to stop as well, you can just cross your arms. This is stop here, or even say, oh, move forward, the other way, right? So again, another communication strategy you can use. Another one is a simple one. Again, is forward, just with your palm facing you. It's forward, and then stop, just with the normal stop sign, and okay, just a thumbs up, right? So because in different cultures, different hand signals mean different things, right? So for us, when someone does this, it looks like eyes and go away, right? But in some cultures, they look at it different when it becomes like, it's like come this way, right? So that's why you take time to establish that with your operator. You should see that you're all on the same page before you start operating. Once communication has been established, you can work well, and if there's anything that arises or any additional risks, you can pick them up and control them before they become anything else, right? And again, it's good to consider like weather conditions. It's good to consider how many people are in the area, what vehicles are in the area, how tight your space is. It's good to consider all those things to prevent injuries, right? And for most vehicles, they'll have cameras, they'll have sensors, they'll have more lights around the area. They'll have obstruction lights that force a vehicle to stop if they're about to hit something or someone, emergency brakes. So that's really best practice, right? But in most cases, we don't have vehicles like that. So it's important that we have that spotter in place to be the eyes of the driver on the ground, right? So nothing like that happens. And another important thing is in this organization, we all have a stop work authority, an authority to stop the job if you feel like it's unsafe, right? It's called stop work authority. So if you are spotting then you feel like something has changed that has made the situation unsafe, you can just say stop for a second, let's fix the situation, right? So you don't stop and just go sit down and be on your phone. You stop, you talk to everyone, okay, fine, we've identified a hazard here and you need to control it before you move on. You put a control in place and then you continue with the activity. And if you're not sure, you can always ask your supervisor, say, hey, this has happened, I'm not sure how to fix it, can you give us a hand? And then they will give you a hand where they can, so you can continue your tasks safely. But again, yeah, the role of a spotter is a very important one. It's again, it can save lives, it can protect you, it can protect the operator, it can protect the equipment, it can protect other people, visitors. So it's a big role, and the responsibility again is just controlling the whole area. You're in charge of that job. You might not be the one operating, but you're in charge of that whole area, and it's important that that is done there. What do you think of that? Do you have any questions?
No, I think I understand still everything.
Everything? Okay. No, that's all good. So after the session here, right, you'll be asked to go and spot equipment and things like that. And so you can do it with confidence. Now, do you feel more confident about doing the job? Yeah, that's all good. Would you, I know you be a trade assistant, would you one day want to look into working as an operator?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that'll be good. And do you know what kind of vehicles you want to operate?
Any vehicle.
Do you think like excavators, cranes? Yeah, good. Do you have a fear of heights?
No.
Okay. EWPs are some seriously high working heights vehicles, and they also require spotters, right? Because they're all the way up there, and you might not be able to see what's going on the ground here, and you might be driving and you might hit over something and things like that. So it's important that you have a spotter in place. But yeah, keep working towards it, and in the future we can do some more training on how you can even be better at this. But so far, I think you're headed in the right track. I've got an evaluation form for you to fill out here. So just fill this out like we did before. And if you have any feedback or any questions or queries, let me know. And if there's any way that we can make this session better for the future, I can think of one thing right now, which will be like maybe next time we'll go out on site and actually play sport, like become a spotter for different activities, and then we can see how we go from there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good. Yeah. I think it's good experience to work closely with operators to see how much they rely on the spotters. And if you have someone who's kind of guiding you and directing you, you can be confident that you won't hit anything. And two heads are better than one. You got more sight, more vision, and you work well with each other. But yeah, that's the session for today. So after today, I'll let your supervisor know that you've completed this session. I'll also pass your information to the HR manager who put it on under your file, and then they'll know that if they need a spotter, you've done the training, you understand what our procedures are, and you're ready to go. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. You've got leading hands, you've got experienced people around you. You can always ask them and they can point you in the right direction. But so far, I think you're doing very well, and I look forward to working with you. So what we'll do, right, is we'll set up meetings, regular meetings. So let's say after the preset meetings, we'll just chat and see how you're going with your sporting operations or sector observer operations, and see if you need any help with anything else. So we'll set these for the next couple of weeks. We'll do it every day, and then we'll see how we go after a month, right? And if you're comfortable after a month, we can just go back to monthly reviews and see what further training you need, or if there's anything else we can assist you with. Yeah. Are you okay with that arrangement?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, good. And again, don't hesitate to ask questions if you're unsure. Just ask. We are here to help, and I wish you all the best. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. I'll chat to you shortly.